Eli Lilly and Company,
LLY. Yeah.
a pharmaceutical giant nearly 150 years old now.
Quite a history.
Their mission, as they state it, is about turning science into healing, making life better, and importantly, making medicines accessible and affordable.
Which is a huge topic right now.
Absolutely. So we've pulled together recent reports, analyst views, basically trying to get a full picture of what's going on with Lilly.
Exactly. Lilly's a really good indicator, sort of a bellwether for the whole pharma industry, wouldn't you say?
I think so. So looking closely at them, their recent moves, their history, where they might be heading, it tells us a lot about the bigger healthcare picture.
Yeah, we'll look at the numbers, but also, the stories behind them.
Okay, let's jump right in. Key institutional activity, say, last 6 months or so. Latest analyst data shows total assets, quite a number, 71,874.80 million in the last quarter. That's up pretty significantly from 63,943.50 million the quarter before and $64,006.30 before that. That's a steep climb.
It really is. And that kind of asset growth, well, it often points to success in their main business.
Like strong drug sales.
Strong sales, yeah. Or maybe getting revenue from newly approved drugs. Could even be, strategic acquisitions boosting their portfolio.
So activity and expansion.
Definitely suggest that. A lot happening.
But interestingly, total debt is also climbing. Latest is $28,892 million.
Okay.
Up from around $26.2 billion and $25.2 billion in the previous 2 quarters. So assets up, debt up. How do we read that?
Well, it's that classic corporate balancing act, isn't it? Yeah. Taking on debt isn't automatically bad.
Right.
Often it's strategic. You borrow to fund things that grow assets R&D, maybe building new manufacturing plants.
To meet demand for those successful drugs.
Exactly. The key is whether the debt is, manageable relative to the assets and their earnings potential. You'd look at things like debt-to-equity ratio to really assess the leverage.
Makes sense. And connecting to that, revenue figures look strong too. The report shows 11,302.80 million most recently.
Big number.
Yeah, a noticeable jump from earlier periods. Seems like that directly feeds into the asset growth.
Oh, absolutely. Strong revenue is usually the main engine for asset growth. For Lilly, it likely means good demand for their existing medicines and maybe successful launches of newer ones. Gives them the cash to reinvest, grow more, and handle that debt we mentioned.
Got it. And for shareholders, shares outstanding are around 900.90 million.
Okay.
And the recent dividend went up $1.30 per share, up from $1.13. That's a direct return.
Yeah, and a rising dividend, that often signals management feels pretty confident about the company's finances and future profits.
Right.
Suggests they have enough cash flow for operations, R&D, and giving back to shareholders. Makes the stock more attractive for some investors, too.
Okay, let's pull back a bit. Nearly 150 years of history, reaching $1 million in annual sales way back in 1905. That kind of puts today's numbers in perspective.
It really does. That longevity, it says a lot about their ability to adapt, to innovate, to just stay relevant in a field that changes so fast.
They've definitely seen a lot.
No doubt.
Mid-20th century, they set up a new research lab in 34. Shows that R&D focus is deep-rooted. And here's a sort of curious detail. Partnering with the U.S. Army Reserve in 1949 for strategic intelligence research.
Huh. That is interesting.
Not your typical pharma activity. What's the likely connection there?
Well, you think about that post-war era. There was a lot more overlap between scientific fields and national security needs.
Right.
It's possible Lilly had specific expertise, maybe in chemistry or biology, that was seen as valuable for intelligence purposes. Shows how corporate know-how can sometimes be used in unexpected ways.
Fascinating. Okay, key drugs. They developed foundational antibiotics like cephalosporin and erythromycin.
Pillars of modern medicine, really.
And then, of course, Prozac, fluoxetine,
Yeah.
launched in the 80s, FDA-approved 87.
It's huge. One of the first SSRIs.
Totally changed depression treatment, right?
Yeah.
A bestseller until the patent ran out in 2001. What was its broader impact?
Oh, Prozac was. It was more than just a successful drug. It genuinely helped reduce the stigma around mental health treatment back then.
Made it okay to talk about and seek help.
Exactly. And because it was effective and generally well-tolerated compared to older drugs, it encouraged more people to get treatment. Really opened the door for more mental health research, too.
Then there's secobarbital, or Seconal, a different kind of story.
Yeah, a cautionary one.
Used for epilepsy, insomnia.
No.
But then the recreational use in the 70s, links to Jimi Hendrix, Judy Garland.
Tragic.
They start making it in 99. A reminder of the potential downsides, even with prescription meds.
It really highlights the complexities. A drug has a therapeutic purpose, but it can get caught up in wider social issues, have unintended consequences.
Leading to it being pulled or restricted.
Exactly.
Okay, what about Zyprexa? Mentioned alongside the Zyprexa Papers book from 2020 and related legal stuff. Sounds like a period of controversy.
Yeah, legal challenges, public debate about safety, side effects. It's sort of part of the territory for major pharmaceutical companies, especially with widely used drugs.
Right.
That book likely shed light on aspects of its development or marketing that drew significant attention.
Moving forward a bit, Cialis. Remember that Super Bowl ad in 2004?
Oh, yeah. Hard to forget.
Really brought a sensitive topic right into the mainstream.
It did. Bold marketing move.
And Cymbalta, duloxetine, approved for depression and chronic pain. But then that recall, October 2024, toxic chemical contamination.
Yeah, that's concerning.
What does a recall like that signify?
Well, obviously it's serious, but in a way, it shows the safety systems are working.
How so?
Because even with tight quality control, problems can happen. The recall shows they have monitoring systems in place and, crucially, that they act quickly to pull the product and protect patients when something's found. It's a necessary safety net.
Okay. More recently, Kisunla. FDA-approved July 2024 for Alzheimer's. Potentially groundbreaking.
A huge area of need.
Approved in the UK too, but cost concerns limited its use there. Really highlights that tension, doesn't it? Innovation versus affordability.
Absolutely. Developing treatments for diseases like Alzheimer's is critical. Keystone is scientific progress, no doubt.
Right.
But the fact that different health systems react differently based on cost, that's the ongoing global challenge. How do we pay for innovation and ensure access?
A tough question. We also see gemcitabine for lung cancer treatment back in 2009, shows their ongoing oncology work.
Right, constantly refining cancer therapies.
And methadone, used for pain, for addiction treatment, got its first big update in over 20 years in February 2024. It's a complex drug, though, benefits and risks.
Definitely. The update reflects ongoing learning in how to best manage chronic pain and opioid dependence. It's always a balance between therapeutic value and potential side effects or risks.
Now, one area where Lilly seems particularly active recently is insulin affordability.
Yes, that's been a major focus for them.
They've rolled out quite a few initiatives over the last, 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, starting back in 2019, I think.
Right, with that non-branded insulin. At half the list price of Humalog, that felt like a big first step.
It really was.
Yeah.
Directly addressing the high cost, trying to give some immediate relief to patients who are struggling.
Then came the Lilly Insulin Value Program in 2020, capping monthly costs at $35 for many patients.
For the commercially insured or uninsured.
And they joined that Medicare Part D senior savings model, too, also with a $35 cap.
Right, leveraging existing programs.
And they kept cutting prices. 40% off insulin Lispro in 22. More cuts in 23 Lispro vials down to $25. And then reducing the list price of their most common insulins by 70%.
70% is huge.
The end message seems to be anyone, insured or not, can get their monthly Lilly insulin for $35 or less. That's quite a commitment.
It is. It's a very comprehensive, sustained push on insulin costs. It tackles a massive public health issue head-on.
What's the impact beyond just the price?
Well, obviously, it directly helps patients, health-wise and financially, but it also probably helps Lilly's reputation, builds goodwill. It shows them taking significant action on a really visible problem. It's a smart move, frankly, on multiple levels.
Okay, let's shift gears to risk factors and growth catalysts. The sources mention drug safety and recalls that Cymbalta recall being a prime example. Keeping products safe has to be paramount.
It's absolutely non-negotiable in pharma. You have to have robust systems, pharmacovigilance they call it, to detect, assess, and prevent adverse effects. Recalls, while bad for PR maybe, are essential for patient safety.
Another risk, counterfeit drugs. Lilly's working on traceability, warning people it's a global fight, right?
Oh, huge challenge. Fake meds can be useless or even dangerous. Companies invest a lot in anti-counterfeiting tech and tracking to protect patients and their own brands.
Ethical marketing is another key area. Strict codes, especially around off-label promotion, heavily regulated.
As it should be. The rules are there to make sure doctors get accurate info for prescribing. It's about patient safety and trust.
And supply chain integrity. Lilly's part of that RX360 consortium audit program. Given how global drug making is, collaboration seems vital.
Definitely. Ingredients and manufacturing can span multiple countries. You need strong shared standards to manage risks and ensure quality all the way through. Consortia like RX360 help establish those.
Transparency and disclosure come up too, but they have to balance that with protecting intellectual property, staying competitive.
It's a tricky balance. There's pressure for more transparency, say, on clinical trial data. But companies also need to protect the R&D investments that lead to new drugs. Finding that sweet spot is key for trust and innovation.
And finally, the Inflation Reduction Act. Mentioned as something Lilly is watching closely, its potential impact on drug discovery.
Yeah, the IRA introduced government price negotiation for some drugs in the U.S. That's a major shift. Companies like Lilly are definitely analyzing how that might affect their pricing, their R&D investment choices down the road. It's a new landscape.
Okay, let's talk business fundamentals, competitive advantages. What makes Lilly tick? A clear one is that strong focus on R&D.
Absolutely fundamental. A productive R&D pipeline is the lifeblood of a pharma company. It's how they bring new treatments, address unmet needs, and stay ahead.
They also seem really committed to sustainability. Some pretty ambitious goals there.
Yeah, I saw those. 100% renewable electricity by 2030.
Right, and they were at about 28.4% end of 2023. Also aiming for carbon neutrality scope 1 and 2 by 2030. Already cut emissions 26% from 2020 to 2023. Seems like real progress.
Those are serious targets. It shows sustainability is becoming, integrated into their actual strategy, not just talk.
And it goes beyond energy. Zero waste to landfill goal. Repurposing all plastic waste 90% recycled or reused already. That big wind farm PPA.
Power purchase agreement, yeah.
Set to cover over 90% of their North American electricity needs. Plus, investing over $50 million in energy waste water reduction since 2006. It feels very comprehensive.
It really does. It's looking at the whole environmental footprint, energy, waste, water, and committed long-term resources. That wind farm deal is particularly impactful.
They even have a design for sustainability guidebook for products and packaging.
That's smart. Building it in from the start.
And an asset recovery department that redeploys millions in equipment each year, plus massive recycling of materials. Seems like a circular economy approach.
Yeah. Resource efficiency in action. Minimizing waste. Reusing what they can.
Water management, too. 97.5% recycled or reused in 2023. And all manufacturing sites meeting environmental standards for water discharge.
Crucial, especially with water scarcity being a growing issue. Shows responsible use of resources and protecting local ecosystems.
Okay, shifting to people and ethics. Heavy emphasis on ethics and compliance, robust processes, and apparently a high percentage of employees willing to report violations.
That last point is interesting. It suggests a strong internal culture where people feel safe speaking up. That's vital for maintaining high ethical standards, especially in healthcare, where trust is everything.
And diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. Looks like a big focus, too. Employee groups, diverse hiring, development programs, inclusive research.
All important elements.
Nearly $1.5 billion spent with diverse suppliers in 2023. Apprenticeship programs for people without four-year degrees.
That Skills First initiative, yeah. Broadening the talent pool.
And the numbers show progress. Women in global management up to 49%, minority groups in U.S. management up to 24%. Lots of recognition in DEI rankings, too. How crucial is DEI for a company like Lilly?
Oh, it's hugely important today. It's not just the right thing to do, it's a business advantage. Diverse teams tend to be more innovative.
Bring different perspectives.
Exactly. Helps understand diverse patients care, boosts employee morale, strengthens their reputation. The progress they're showing suggests it's a strategic priority for them.
Then there are the global health initiatives. Access to medicines. Provided $4.3 billion in meds to charities last year. Reached 18 million people towards their 30 by 30 goal.
Improving healthcare access in resource-limited places, yeah.
Supporting the AMR Action Fund against antibiotic resistance. Collaborating with EVA Pharma on insulin access in Africa, partnerships all over the world. What's the driver here?
It reflects that pharma companies increasingly see a role, maybe even a responsibility, in tackling global health challenges.
Beyond just their main markets.
Right. It builds goodwill, helps understand diverse needs, contributes to global well-being. The scale of Lilly's efforts here seems pretty significant.
Community engagement, too. The Eli Lilly Foundation supporting STEM, racial justice, health equity, disaster relief support, matching employee donations.
Standard, but important corporate citizenship stuff. Giving back to the communities where they operate, building relationships.
And finally, employee experience and safety. High engagement scores, commitment to zero severe injuries, supporting workers' rights. foundational stuff.
Absolutely. You need a positive, safe workplace to attract and keep good people, drive productivity, keep innovating. High engagement is a good sign of a healthy organization.
So wrapping this up, Eli Lilly, long history, complex company, lots of recent activity, strong R&D focus, but also this big push on sustainability, ethics, DEI.
And that very visible effort on insulin affordability.
Right, that stands out. It's a multifaceted picture, isn't it? Balancing innovation with all these other responsibilities.
Definitely. A major player navigating science, regulations, societal expectations, their performance, and how they continue these initiatives. That'll be key to watch.
Which leads to that final thought. As such a big force in healthcare, how will Eli Lilly keep balancing drug development, that critical affordability piece, and these broader global health challenges moving forward?
Yeah, that's the big question. The answer impacts patients everywhere.
A lot to think about. Thanks for joining us.